The Run with Manny Wilson podcast is brought to you by Fifth Investments. Sports betting is cool, but you can really get the most out of your money trading in the stock market. You can make money when stocks go up, and you can make money when stocks go down. But all you need is a little guidance. So use the Fifth Investment Stock Trading Journal to help you get started right away. Fifth Investments is a fantastic resource for daily trade ideas, market analysis, news, and information for navigating the stock market. They got you covered with long-term, short-term, options trading, and more. So go to fiftinvestments.com and use the promo code THERUN for $20 off your premier membership, or just sign up for free. Trade the stock market and perfect a skill that's going to last you a lifetime.
The information is not trading or investment advice. The newsletter is only a personal blog that is being offered publicly for general information purposes only.
Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run, the Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. We got a great episode for you today. Obviously, some voicemail calls. Denver Nuggets and Miami Heat is in the NBA Finals. But before all of that, man, I appreciate you tuning into the first interactive sports podcast. You know, a community that makes sure your voice is always heard. So if you hear something you dislike, you hear something you like, or you just want to outsmart me, share your opinion, comment on something I said, feel free to give us a call at 219-413-9405 and we will air your take next episode. But look, as I mentioned, the NBA Finals are here. We got the Denver Nuggets versus the Miami Heat. Denver Nuggets, they beat the Lakers in 4 games. Miami Heat beat the Boston Celtics in 7 games. And this will be the Denver Nuggets' first ever NBA Finals, their appearance. And if they win the NBA Finals, it'll be their first ever championship for the city of Denver in the NBA. The Miami Heat, on the other hand, this is their second finals in 4 years, but both times they showed up empty-handed. So they're trying to just leave away with a win finally, man. I mean, they've gotten there. And typically when I do my picks against the finals and who's going against who, I base it solely off of experience. Usually I'm like, all right, well, this team got more experience, and then I'll go down the line of the rest of everything else. Clearly, the Heat is winning the battle of experience in this situation over the Denver Nuggets here. They've been 2 times, and the Denver Nuggets have never been to the NBA Finals. It's always something about that stage when you get there. It's just some people are overwhelmed. The moment's too big for some people. They can't adjust to it. So to me, you got to give some Heat, the Miami Heat, the credit they deserve for even getting to the finals. But ultimately, I hear a lot of different things about the fear being the personnel matchup. A lot of people are talking about, Miami Heat don't stand a chance because they don't have an answer for Jokic. Everybody's looking at the paper matchup and this matchup on paper when, bro, you got to stop doing that. You got to actually sit down and look at the games, because looking at paper and looking at the personnel on the roster only tells you so much. Because think about this, man. When you talk about the Miami Heat and everybody they've played through the course of the playoffs, all these other teams have had a better on-paper roster than the Miami Heat. Going back to round 1, the Boston Celtics or the Milwaukee Bucks, they had a better roster than the Miami Heat. The New York Knicks had just as good as a roster as the Miami Heat, if not better. The Boston Celtics, probably the best team in the Eastern Conference on paper, had a better roster than the Miami Heat. But look what happened. Look what ended up happening. Miami Heat ended up winning that series. They had a commanding 3-0 lead. They won in Game 7 with no problem. So that's the first thing people got to stop doing, is saying on paper, the Miami Heat don't have an answer for Jokic or Murray, as if they cannot continue to make great adjustments like they did against the Celtics, like they did against Milwaukee, like they did against the New York Knicks. So I'm just saying all of that to say you got to put some respect on the Miami Heat before you do anything else. They've definitely earned their way to this finals. And if anything, you got to give them the respect they deserve when showing up in this finals and being able to go against Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and the rest of those guys on the Denver Nuggets. However, I'm not siding with the Heat in this. I still think the Denver Nuggets are going to end up winning the series. I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I don't think it's going to be a landslide, nothing like that. I say it's going to 6 games. And I give the Denver Nuggets the credit just because when I look at all the different things and all the different factors on the paper, off the paper, the statistical things on the floor, off the floor, all of those things make a huge impact, and I see the consistency within the Denver Nuggets, not just within the numbers, but also in the play. Now, something that did concern me was that Miami Heat, the bench production. That's a key focus for a lot of different people right now. That's some of the main things that they're talking about is that, Miami Heat, they got 34 points coming straight off the bench outside of the starting 5. However, what people fail to realize is that outside of that bench production, that starting 5 isn't even top 10 in giving you point production on the floor. That starting unit from the Miami Heat is not top 10 in points. The Denver Nuggets, that starting unit is top. They're number 1 in points. The Denver Nuggets team is number 1 in points. So to me, when I look at these different things and add it to the factor of consistency and see all the different things the Denver Nuggets do in terms of adjustments, Nikola Jokic getting his triple doubles, Jamal Murray showing up big, their bench production, and Jeff Green and what's my other guy, Bruce Brown. Their bench production is crazy too. Bruce Brown's coming off the bench giving you 12, 13 on an average, but on a good night, he's giving you 20. Jeff Green is giving you 16 on a great night. On a bad night for Nikola Jokic, like he had in that last series against the Lakers, I think it was game 2 maybe, a bad night was 24 points for him. So I understand the thing about the paper, but also too looking at this on off the stat sheet and looking at it on the floor, Denver also plays great basketball, man. They have a complete team over there, and the way they play defense, they run the floor when necessary. They got great passes, they run great sets. Jamal Murray gave Lakers 30 last season, and I'm sure he's probably going to do it again in the finals on this big stage that he's been waiting for. Jokic has been waiting for this moment as well. He's averaging a triple-double. So to me, man, I don't know. It's definitely going to be tough. But I would say for sure, because the Denver Nuggets have proven to be disciplined in late areas of the game, I'm for sure going with the Denver Nuggets to pull this out in 6 games at max. I don't think it goes past 6. I wouldn't be too surprised if it goes before 6. But long story short, you got to give the Miami Heat some respect. You damn sure can't say they're going to get swept on here. That would just be insane to think that the Miami Heat would get swept after they've beaten all the great teams in the Eastern Conference this year and the teams in the Eastern Conference that were deemed powerhouses and all of that stuff. So I'm going with the Denver Nuggets in 6 for sure. We got some more, man, voicemails coming up. Obviously, some news for the run as well in just a second. So don't move. We will be right back. All right, and news for the run in the NFL. The Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson said he'd love to play with his college teammate DeAndre Hopkins. The Arizona Cardinals have released 5-time All-Pro wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, and as of now, Hopkins is rumored to pick a favorite between the Chiefs, Bills, or the Cleveland Browns. And in the NBA, the Milwaukee Bucks will hire Adrian Griffin as their new head coach after parting ways with Mike Budenholzer. Adrian Griffin was the former assistant coach for the Toronto Raptors. He was also there for the championship run back in 2019. And for the Philadelphia 76ers, they've hired the Toronto Raptors' former head coach, Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse won an NBA championship back in 2019, and he also won the Coach of the Year award in 2020. Now, there was reportedly multiple offers thrown at Nurse, but according to Woj, he favorited the opportunity to coach the MVP, Joel Embiid. And Bob Myers of the Golden State Warriors will be stepping down as president and GM of the Golden State Warriors. He's largely responsible for putting together teams that made a 6-year run in the NBA Finals since 2012. He will be missed over there in the Warriors. We got some questions about him coming up as well that we did a couple polls on. But before we get to that, man, let's finish off with the news. Now, the NBA Finals matchup is set. The Miami Heat will battle against the Denver Nuggets, as I just mentioned in our previous segment, starting tomorrow, June 1st. And the Stanley Cup Finals is here as well. for those who love hockey. The Florida Panthers will take on the Golden Knights starting Saturday, June 3rd. I got some NBL or MLB scores as well for you. Let me pull those up. So to kick it off, the Padres, they beat the Marlins 9-4. The Texas Rangers beat the Detroit Tigers, poor Tigers, 10-6. The Guardians lost to the Orioles. The Blue Jays beat the Brewers. The Reds beat the Red Sox in a close matchup, 9-8. The Royals lost to the Cardinals. The Cubs beat the Rays, surprisingly. White Sox beat the Angels as well, surprisingly. Astros beat the Twins. Athletics beat the Braves. And the Dodgers beat the Nationals. Now, tonight, you can expect some of those same matchups as well as they finish out the series. But let's do this, man, because now it's time for the feed results and the voicemail callers. I know we only got a couple voicemail callers, but I don't like waiting on y'all, man. Sometimes y'all take too long with these voicemail calls. That's really just the whole thing there. I'll be ready to get them out. I'll be ready to talk about this stuff. And I tell you, every time I release them, we're airing it this time. So we do have some feed results, though. So on our Instagram, we always post these polls of questions that we're going to probably talk about during the show. So one of the first ones was, who would win Game 7 between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics? So clearly we know who won, the Miami Heat, but a lot of the followers and a lot of those who listen to the podcast, 71% of y'all said the Heat would win. So look at y'all knowing something. And 29% of y'all said the Celtics were going to win, but they ended up losing. So look at y'all knowing something right there. A couple other questions that were lingering and conversations that I was having was, is Jimmy Butler the best player to wear a Heat uniform? 17% of y'all said yes, 17 said no, just wait on it. And then 58% of y'all said hell no, Jimmy Butler is nowhere near the best player to wear a Heat uniform. And I 1000% agree. For anybody who said just wait on it or yes, he's the best, clearly you done forgot what the hell D-Wade was doing. Damn what LeBron did in Miami. I know LeBron was great. But damn it, you done forgot what the hell D-Wade did in Miami out of all of his seasons in his career that he spent with Miami. Ain't no way in hell we gonna let Jimmy G take the throne or Jimmy Buckets take the throne like that. It's not happening, bro. He's a great player. He's done his thing throughout the whole playoffs. I understand he's a key piece for the Miami Heat's franchise, team this year, and organization in total. But at the end of the day, he's nowhere near better than D-Wade in Miami Heat. So D-Wade will always be number one in terms of wearing the Miami Heat jersey. Easy. And you can make the argument for LeBron too, obviously, but D-Wade is Miami Heat. He's Heat culture. That's who he is. And then this kind of brings us to our other conversation. One of the polls here was Caleb Martin from the Miami Heat robbed of the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Now, this was kind of close. 57% of y'all said he was robbed. At first, I agreed he was robbed. 43% of y'all said Jimmy Butler deserved it more. This kind of goes back to that, is Jimmy Butler the best player? I'm going to tie these two together, just so you know. Is he the best player in the Heat uniform, all of that? I'm going to tie these two together. Long story short, Jimmy Butler did deserve the MVP. I'll give him that. Without Jimmy Butler, the Heat would nowhere near have won this series. He did lead this team, even though he had a couple of bad games. He did lead this team in many ways on the floor. He was still there being the voice and just leading this team in so many other ways. However, I will say Caleb Martin, a tremendous mean argument could be made for Caleb Martin. But even looking at the stats and possibly trying to make an argument, it just doesn't sit up there with Jimmy G. Caleb Martin had a great series, had multiple 20-point games, averaged 19 in that previous series against the Boston Celtics. I think he had like 6 rebounds on average as well in that series. But when you look at I keep saying Jimmy G, but when you look at Jimmy Butler's stats, he had 24, almost a triple dub, 7 and 6, or 7 and 8. One of those. You can verify for me, but long story short, he did his thing through play. He still led this team in pivotal moments of the game, down the game in late stretches. He did his thing. He claimed the ball. He took the ball. He scored buckets when they needed buckets. But the guys around him, his teammates, were very great. And I think outside of Caleb Martin, there's even other guys that you can make an argument for that could have possibly won that conference finals MVP. So I definitely give credit to the Miami Heat. They balled out, but for me, if you're going to say Jimmy Butler is the best player to wear a Miami Heat uniform, I have to at least throw some kind of shade out there to say like he was barely the best player to wear a Miami Heat uniform in this playoffs. I'm just saying, I'm just messing with you at this point, but I'm just saying, don't come up here talking all that craziness, talking about it's D-Wade. It's still D-Wade. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, man, all right, next thing on the poll, we said what caused the Boston Celtics to lose the game 7. A lot of y'all said bad shooting. That was mainly the thing. It was 67% that said bad shooting. No defense was 17%. A lot of y'all said y'all listened to the last episode because that's what I talked about there. But to sum this one up, it was both of them. All of the above. All of the above. The Celtics played bad. They shot the ball terrible. For those who didn't listen to that last episode, they shot the ball bad. They didn't play defense. They fell in love with the 3 ball. They didn't attack the hoop. They were unaggressive in terms of fighting over screens. They got lazy. They kind of, man, no. It was a bad game from the Celtics all around. It wasn't really one little thing that caused them to lose game 7. And as I mentioned, man, let's go to the next question because Bob Myers, who I mentioned was the president and GM of the Golden State Warriors, is stepping down. He's not going to be there anymore. He's responsible for all of the Warriors' finals run in this Steph Curry era, as a lot of people say. But what I asked was, is the Golden State Warriors dynasty over? 33% of you guys said yes. 33% of you guys said no. 33% of you guys said you would call in, but I would not wait on you. So I went ahead and recorded this episode anyway. But to give my answer on this, absolutely. This dynasty is done. I give it 4 years max until we see the big decline of the Golden State Warriors. And there's a lot more that comes into play outside of Bob Myers being done as a president and GM. Because although you may disagree, or even if you agree, I'm going to just add more fire to the fuel here. Steve Kerr is on his last year of the contract for his coaching career. Steve Kerr and Bob Myers have a great relationship. Draymond and Klay Thompson they both have to renegotiate their contracts. And the GM is a huge pivotal point in that. Understanding what your players want and understanding what the team needs is a huge pivotal point in that. There's a lot of young guys on the Warriors as well. So I want to shade this in there too, because we know the Warriors got some young talent. They still have a great team. But like I said, give it 3 to 4 years, we're going to see that big decline, because even though they have the young guys, they have a lot of talent on that team. It's up to the GM and president to put new pieces around Steph, Klay, and Dre if Draymond and Klay are still even Warriors at the end of the day. And then now that you factor all of that in, is Steve Kerr going to want to take a year off? It's so many other things that's up in the air for the Golden State Warriors. So if you ask me, I say definitely the dynasty is over. This is the man that orchestrated everything from A to B, from the start of the dynasty, being called a dynasty in the first place, all the way to the end of people questioning if the dynasty is still going to exist. So if you ask me, I definitely say, yes, the dynasty is on a decline. Give it 4 years max. At max, and this team is going to turn into the New York Knicks, the San Antonio Spurs, or the 04, or no, not 04, or the 07 Pistons when Billups was just there, or something like whatever year that was. You know what I'm talking about. But long story short, I get there's a lot of talent. I understand all of that. But at the end of the day, Steph going to need them pieces around him. And whoever's there as GM and president is going to make sure they put the correct pieces around Stephen Curry, whether Klay or Dre is even there. It was a hell of a run. But I'm going to tell y'all like this. It's over with. It's over with. Just like the show. It's over with, man. But anyway, if you heard something that you agree with, disagree with, go ahead, call us 219-413-9405. And don't keep waiting. Look, don't keep waiting, man. When you see these polls go up, or when you see the opportunity to leave your quick take, 219-413-9405, just call in, bro. I promise you. You ain't got to leave a whole paragraph. You ain't got to leave a whole show on these voicemail lines, bro. Just call in, say your little 30-second quick take, or even 45-second, 1-minute quick take. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be noise in the background, as long as it ain't nothing like crazy and insane. As long as you ain't, horns beeping in the back, as long as ain't nothing insane going on, it's okay. I promise you that. You could be at work and call in. It's okay if I hear, machines in the back. It's fine. We understand everybody listen to podcasts when they're doing something and they're active. So again, man, go ahead, give us a call, 219-413-9405. I promise you, we will still play it back, even if it's some noise in the background. So don't feel bad about it. But look, man, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Watch these games. We can't wait to touch on them. We're going to try and give a post-game instant reaction as well to some of these finals games. But until then, man, leave your voicemail. Share this with a cousin, a brother, an uncle, an aunt, an auntie, a niece, a nephew, a neighbor, a coworker, anybody who enjoys sports podcasts and listen to podcasts anyway. But until then, man, we will be back. I appreciate you on Spotify, iPodcast, iHeartRadio, therunusa.com, or even if you're watching here on YouTube. Thank you, and we will be back later on next week, and so on, and so on, and so on. The Run with Manny Wilson podcast is brought to you by Fifth Investments. Investing is the easiest way to double your money, especially when you do it right. Most of us need help with getting started, right? I'm telling you right now, Fifth Investments is the easiest way to take your first step. You can sign up for the Daily Trading Journal, weekly newsletter, including trade ideas, market analysis, news, and information on navigating the stock market. They got you covered with long-term, short-term, options trading, and more. So go to fiftinvestments.com and use the promo code THERUN for $20 off your premier membership, or just sign up for free. Trade the stock market and perfect a skill that's going to last you a lifetime.
The information is not trading or investment advice. The newsletter is only a personal blog that is being offered publicly for general information purposes only.